So in the process of that, I met somebody who happened to be their commanding officer. And that's this handsome gentleman right here, who happens to be with us today. So, Rich, come on up, my friend, and you will... Why'd you join the military?
I started off in Army ROTC back in I guess 1991 when I graduated high school. It was something I wanted to do. I said I was only going to do it for 4 years. I just wanted to, serve my country in some way. Military service was something that a lot of people in my family had done, and I thought it would be a good experience, give back to my country. But I guess maybe I really didn't know at that age, right at 18, exactly why I wanted to do it. And then I stayed beyond my 4 years because I was rated about 4 years when 9/11 happened. I was motivated by the events of 9/11, and I wanted to, make a difference, I guess, in the, and protect, at the time, really motivated by a desire to protect the country and the people from what had happened on 9/11, and that's why I stayed at that point.
I think so for a lot of these folks here, everybody here, they really don't have an understanding of what 9/11 was. To wake up on that day with, knowing what happened. The intensity of that and how many people were motivated in that way. So you've been deployed. How many times were you deployed?
To Afghanistan, I was there 5 times, 5 actual deployments in addition to a couple short trips over there, and then I was in Iraq a couple of times, and then other countries. But those are the combat zones that I was in.
And when you say deployments, just say quickly what that means. Deployment means that they just sent you over there to do your job.
Sure. I deployed with an infantry unit. I was an infantry officer my entire time in the Army, so. We were, what I did in my first trip, was very different than what I did in my last trip. The first time I went, it was much more kinetic, I guess. There was a lot more enemy. We were trying to eliminate Taliban. That was early in 2003. It was still a very hostile environment. It remained hostile, but later on, the focus became more about the people and helping the people. We built schools and we dug wells and we helped facilitate elections. And I really felt the last couple of times that I was in Afghanistan that, that was very impactful. I felt like we really did something positive, escorting little girls to school, building schools, building health clinics, in small rural communities, so people had access to basic services and clean water, and that was definitely more impactful than the things that I, did initially in Afghanistan.
So this is one of the things that I think people don't really realize, or they don't have a sense of it, right? We talk about going to war and you went to war. And we think, that means you went to war and were just in conflict. And people don't see the many, many different things that go into that. So,
yeah, I would say, engaging with the enemy, fighting bad guys, shooting your weapon is a fraction of the other things that you do. That takes up much less of your time than the engagement with the population and helping the population and working with the security forces of the host nation and trying to get them on a footing so that, they will be successful.
And one of the things that so let's be clear, right? The U.S. goes in, we chase Osama bin Laden. We didn't kill him or eliminate him. We chased him and he went off into Pakistan. The Taliban, the government fell, but the Taliban were still there. And so now you got to put a government together. A government has to come together, but you're now, the reason what you were doing when you first were there is the Taliban, who are still fighting to regain power again. They're attacking civilians, they're attacking cities, they're attacking you, they're attacking the Afghan military and the police. They're still fighting. So you're over there in support of all of this fighting that's happened to keep them from getting back into power.
Correct. Absolutely right.
And it's really intense, right? Because, for you all, like what's really important, I mean, this is one of the struggles of war and being like anti-war, really understanding war, right? When when I put that list of, that's just some of the things that the Taliban represented. So like, how many want to live, if the Taliban got control of your nation, how many people want to live under them? And so here's this other army, the so-called invading army, the invading Americans who are coming in to say, hey, we're gonna take. First off, we're coming in because we got to get this bin Laden guy, but also we're gonna put a government in place that's gonna represent who you are. So women aren't walking around in burqas when they leave their homes, for example, right? So let's look at a next slide. So here's you with some folks on one of your teams.
Yeah, that's just us out on a patrol. That's the crew of my vehicle. We had our, there's an Air Force guy there on the bottom right, my driver immediately to my right, and then my PFC Craig, Private First Class Craig, she was part of our female engagement team because, there was still a lot of cultural reasons why females would not talk to us, understandably. So we relied heavily on our female soldiers to engage with women, encourage them to, let their kids go to school, let the little girls go to school, get health care that we made available. They were very hesitant. So we used our females to really be the primary engagement tool with other Afghan females to encourage them to take advantage of some of the services that we were able to set up with the Afghan government.
Yeah, really. I mean, just really intense. Right? Nick, can you go to the next slide? So introduce this handsome guy here.
Yeah, so the guy next to me is General Akram Sameh. So that was my last tour in Afghanistan in 2014. The majority got there in January 2014 and left in October, so about 9 or 10 months there. And we shared a forward operating base in Zabul province. So he's got his, couple thousand Afghan soldiers that he's in charge of. He's a brigade commander. And, I have a couple thousand soldiers of a task force. And we eat together, we fight together, we support. I'm there. I'm supporting him. That's my responsibility, is to support him, make him successful. We go through 2 iterations of national elections because the first one required a runoff because it was so close. We did all those other things, working with the people, trying to. One of the big things in the election was trying to encourage females to vote because it was still somewhat culturally taboo. But every day, me and General Akram are just working together and just doing everything. That attached to the hip there, quite literally.
Yeah.
In some cases, I spent, 18, 20 hours a day where he was within arm reach of me. And, through that year, we became very good friends. And even after I left Afghanistan at the end of 2014, we, remained in contact until today, till now. So
okay, next slide. So here you are. Oh, now I'm just going to roll through some photos, right? That's you on the right.
Yep, we're just having I'm not exactly sure which one. This was kind of like a daily occurrence. General Akram is there, General Saki, some interpreters, the governor of the province. We're just having a daily kind of security meeting, it looks like, just talking about, it's probably the run up to the election. And we're just trying to work on what areas need assistance, where can we leverage the assets that we have. Just kind of
the idea here is just you're really getting support to the Afghan government. So it's like you got to move on your own. This is one of the things that we have with this idea that the Afghans can't govern themselves, right? It's like no, hang on. We can't govern ourselves without support. Nobody can. Like, you have to have support. You have to have people that comes together. So next one, again, a similar kind of photo. Next photo. Here's a Shure, right? Like
This is, we used to go out to the outlying villages all the time to, try to hear what they needed to say. Again, I think what I like about this photo is there's no Americans in it. We're just there to help them out. We flew out there because they didn't at the time have a robust helicopter element. So we flew them out there so that they could get access to their people. So the people out in those rural areas felt connected to the government. They would go out, have Ashura, hear what the issues were, what was the most pressing thing, and then we would, kind of go back and try to figure out how we could assist that, that community down the road with the resources.
And not imposing us on it. It's got to come from them.
Yeah, at this phase in 2014, we were really behind the scenes. We really tried to present very little U.S. appearance, very little U.S. interaction. We did only those things that the Afghans just did not have in capability yet, like a helicopter.
Okay. Next slide. Here's after, this guy, I just love that shot. And I think about that is, you just see these soldiers, man, they are like fighting for their country, right? They're fighting for...
Yes, sir. This young man, he was familiar with the movie Rambo, and he had seen that before, so he liked the way that the ammunition around him, he thought he looked like a badass, I guess, and he was a happy guy no matter what. A lot of nights out in the dirt, a lot of heat, and he was just always smiling.
That's great, man. I love that photo. All right, next one. This is after they voted, right? So you put your finger in ink, and the ink stains for...
Right. Keep you from voting more than once, so when you go to vote, and that's just showing all the security leaders and the governor of the province, demonstrating that they had voted that day.
And the man on the left, that's Akram, right?
That's Akram on the left, correct.
Yeah. Okay, so now... So you get the scene, right? This guy here, Rich, he's deployed 5 times, you said, to Afghanistan?
Correct.
A couple times to Iraq, 5 times to Afghanistan. So he's there on the ground. So he gets it. He meets folks. He meets Afghans. And one thing the first conversation that we had together, that you had said how much you really enjoyed our project, because you said people have to talk to each other. Like if people aren't talking to each other, we're not making progress. And just in a minute, why is that important for soldiers? Like, what did you see that other people wouldn't see about the value and importance of people talking to people on the other side of the world?
It's just an understanding of their culture, their, what drives them, what's important to them. And it's different in every country, and it's different in various parts of the country. What's good in Kabul is not good in Kandahar. It's different. And, the first time I deployed in 2003, 18 months after 9/11, my understanding of Afghanistan was, ridiculous. Nothing. I knew very little other than a book I had read literally on the plane over the first time I went.
So you went into Afghanistan almost like guns a-blazing, just like, I don't give a shit about these people. I'm just going to...
Absolutely. It was kind of the mantra, in my mind was, the guy with the biggest gun makes the rules. And I was going there to make the rules, and we were going to solve the problems. And you very quickly realize that doesn't work. Conflict can just breed more conflict if you don't know what drives the people.
Right. It's like the most successful war is one in which nobody dies and you never fire a shot. Right. This is, and this is the miss. It's like with the police. The more I've worked with people in the military, the more people in the military who have experience of war, people like you, the more this idea of a successful war is one where where nobody dies. Like where people are talking, they're dialoguing, they're engaging, and we don't have to escalate it to the next level. But when you're on the outside of it, that's not what we think about, that's not what we see. And that's, of course, the glories of war that you see in the cinemas is not what you see on the ground in the middle of it all.
No, that's just movies.
Yeah. That's also the really kind of terrible piece of this.